What if I told you that a silent deficiency in your body could be the reason you fall, break a hip, and never fully recover? This isn't a scare tactic. This is a medically documented threat facing millions of older adults, especially in countries like the United States. Here's the disturbing truth. According to the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older falls each year. That's not just one bad moment. It's often the beginning of a health spiral. Falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among seniors in the U.S., causing over 3 million emergency room visits annually. For many, a single fall can lead to a broken hip, loss of mobility, or permanent dependence on caregivers. Now here's the part no one is talking about enough. One simple nutrient, vitamin D, can significantly reduce the risk of falling. Vitamin D is commonly known for its role in maintaining strong bones.
But what's less known, and far more urgent, is its impact on muscle function, leg strength, and balance. As we age, our bodies naturally lose muscle. This process, called sarcopenia, accelerates with vitamin D deficiency. The weaker your legs, the less stable you are, and the more likely you are to fall. Let's look at the science. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults taking vitamin D supplements reduced their fall risk by 23%. That's nearly 1 in 4 falls prevented, just from maintaining proper vitamin D levels. And yet, more than 60% of seniors in the U.S. are deficient in vitamin D. Why? Because aging skin is less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. Combine that with limited outdoor activity and poor dietary intake, and deficiency becomes not just common, but dangerous. The symptoms can be easy to ignore: leg cramps, weakness, fatigue, bone pain. But left unaddressed, these signs can lead directly to the kinds of injuries that steal independence. So let me ask you this. Are you getting enough vitamin D? Type 1 in the comments if you know your levels are good, or 0 if you're not sure. This simple interaction helps us understand how widespread this issue really is across different regions. Later in this video, I'll show you how to safely increase your vitamin D levels, using sunlight, food, supplements, and supporting nutrients like magnesium. Let's take a closer look at why vitamin D matters so much as we age, and why ignoring it could cost you your strength, your mobility, and eventually, your independence. Most people know that vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, which keeps bones strong. But fewer people know that vitamin D also acts directly on your muscles, especially the muscles in your legs. You see, vitamin D works like a hormone in the body. It attaches to receptors in your muscle tissue, helping those muscles function properly. Without enough of it, your muscles don't contract as effectively. You lose strength, balance becomes unstable, and over time, your ability to walk safely declines. And here's what science tells us. Low vitamin D levels are directly linked to poor leg strength, slower walking speed, and more frequent falls in older adults. One landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that seniors with low vitamin D levels had significantly lower muscle performance, especially in their lower limbs. That means climbing stairs, standing from a chair, and even simple walking becomes harder. Now here's the revolutionary part. Vitamin D supplementation doesn't just stop this decline, it can actually reverse some of it. A clinical trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that vitamin D supplementation in older adults improved muscle strength and reduced the number of falls over a 12-month period. Participants taking vitamin D showed greater stability, more confidence while walking, and reduced fear of falling. Think about that. One simple vitamin, taken daily, can preserve the power in your legs, the very foundation of your mobility. And it's not just about muscle tone. Maintaining strong leg muscles protects you from sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that affects nearly 50% of people over the age of 80. Once sarcopenia sets in, even basic movements like rising from bed or using the toilet without assistance become difficult. Now let's go deeper into how vitamin D actually protects your mobility, and why it's not just helpful but critical as you age. We've already established that vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium to keep bones strong. But here's what many don't realize. Your muscles also rely on vitamin D to stay functional and responsive. Here's how it works. In simple terms, your muscles have what we call vitamin D receptors. These are like tiny locks. Vitamin D is the key. When enough vitamin D is present, it binds to these receptors and helps regulate muscle contraction, strength, and coordination. Without it, your muscles don't function properly, even if you're still eating well or staying active. This becomes especially important in your legs, which are your body's foundation for standing, walking, and balance. In fact, research shows that vitamin D directly influences fast-twitch muscle fibers, the type of muscle fibers responsible for quick reactions, like catching yourself during a stumble. Let's talk numbers again. A study from the University of Zurich found that seniors who received vitamin D supplements for just 6 months showed significant improvements in leg power, specifically in the quadriceps, which you rely on to rise from a chair or climb stairs. Another study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine found that older women who took vitamin D combined with calcium experienced better postural stability, meaning they were less likely to lose their balance in everyday movement. This is not just about comfort, it's about staying out of the hospital, staying in your own home, and staying in control of your life. Vitamin D is not just a supplement, it's a lifeline for mobility. Supporting your muscles starts at the cellular level, and making small changes now could mean walking strong for years to come. Let's talk about what happens when your body doesn't get enough vitamin D, because for most older adults, that's the reality. In fact, over 60% of seniors have insufficient levels of vitamin D. That's not a rare condition, it's the norm. And many of those people have no idea they're deficient, because the symptoms can creep in slowly, and they're often mistaken for normal aging. Here's why deficiency becomes more common. We get older. Our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. A young person might make plenty of vitamin D after 20 minutes in the sun, but by the time you're 70, your body produces up to 75% less from the same exposure. Combine that with more time spent indoors and dietary limitations, and you've got a perfect storm for deficiency. So, what does it feel like when vitamin D levels drop too low? There are several signs, but they're easy to overlook. Muscle weakness, particularly in the thighs and hips. This makes it harder to stand up, climb stairs, or stay steady on your feet. Bone pain, a dull, aching discomfort that often shows up in the lower back, legs, or ribs. Slow wound healing. Cuts and bruises may take longer to heal than usual. Leg cramps or spasms, especially at night. These can signal disruptions in calcium and muscle function, both regulated by vitamin D. If you've noticed any of these symptoms in yourself or someone you care for, they're not just minor annoyances, they're warning signs, because when vitamin D stays low for too long, it starts to accelerate something more serious, the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength due to aging. Addressing a vitamin D deficiency begins with understanding not just where to get it, but how the body actually processes and uses it. While sunlight remains the body's primary source of natural vitamin D, aging significantly reduces its effectiveness. A person in their 70s may produce less than 1/4 of the vitamin D from sun exposure compared to someone in their 20s, even with the same amount of time outdoors. Add in limited mobility, time spent indoors, and concerns about skin cancer, and it becomes clear why most seniors cannot rely on sunlight alone. In many countries, particularly those with colder climates or extended winters, natural sunlight is unavailable or ineffective for several months each year. During these periods, vitamin D synthesis in the skin drops to near zero. That's when food and supplements must carry the weight of maintaining healthy levels. Certain foods have been fortified with vitamin D for exactly this reason. Dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and some types of cheese often have added vitamin D. These are widely consumed and can help meet a portion of daily needs. For example, 1 cup of fortified milk provides about 100 IU of vitamin D. However, it would take several servings per day to meet the full recommended intake, especially for those over 70 who require 800 to 900 IU daily. For those following a vegetarian or plant-based diet, options are more limited. Mushrooms exposed to ultraviolet light are one of the only plant sources that naturally generate vitamin D, specifically D2. However, D2 is less potent and not as efficiently absorbed as D3, the form most often recommended for supplementation. Aside from mushrooms, most plant-based foods contain negligible amounts of vitamin D unless fortified. This is why supplements become a vital strategy for most seniors. A consistent daily dose of vitamin D3, between 800 and 2000 IU, is considered safe and effective. D3, or cholecalciferol, is the form that closely matches what your body produces naturally. It's absorbed more efficiently than D2 and remains in the bloodstream longer, providing more stable benefits over time. Importantly, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, Its absorption improves when taken with a meal that includes healthy fats, such as avocados, olive oil, nuts, or fatty fish. Taking vitamin D on an empty stomach or with low-fat meals may significantly reduce how much your body can use. But supplementation is not just about dosage, it's about activation. And that's where magnesium comes in. Magnesium acts as a cofactor in the conversion of vitamin D into its active form, which the body can actually use. Without sufficient magnesium, even large amounts of vitamin D may remain biologically inactive. In other words, you could be faithfully taking your vitamin D each day and still not reap the benefits. Magnesium-rich foods include dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, legumes like black beans and lentils, whole grains such as brown rice and oats, and nuts and seeds, particularly almonds and pumpkin seeds. These should be part of a balanced diet that supports vitamin D metabolism. In cases where dietary intake falls short, magnesium supplements may be advised under medical supervision, particularly for those with digestive disorders, diabetes, or certain medications that reduce magnesium absorption. If someone begins with low vitamin D levels, it may take several weeks to months to restore optimal levels and see noticeable improvements. The timeline can vary, but clinical observations suggest that after about 2 weeks, many individuals report fewer muscle cramps and a modest increase in daytime energy. By the 1-month mark, leg strength often improves, balance stabilizes, and fall anxiety begins to decrease. After 3 to 6 months of consistent vitamin D intake, studies show a 31% reduction in falls, a 35% increase in muscle strength, and a 40% drop in fracture risk among older adults. These are not small gains. They represent real, measurable improvements in daily functioning, and more importantly, in maintaining independence. Every element, sunlight, diet, supplementation, and supportive nutrients like magnesium, works together. The most effective approach isn't relying on a single solution, but combining them into a consistent routine that the body can absorb, activate, and use to its full potential. If you've been experiencing leg weakness, balance issues, or frequent cramps, these may not be just signs of age. They could be symptoms of a correctable deficiency. Speak with your healthcare provider about testing your vitamin D and magnesium levels. Small adjustments today could prevent serious consequences tomorrow. The real power of vitamin D lies not just in what it prevents, but in what it protects. Once your levels are consistently in a healthy range, the benefits extend far beyond avoiding deficiency symptoms. They reach into every aspect of daily life, especially when it comes to aging with strength and dignity. When your body has enough vitamin D and the nutrients to activate and use it properly, you begin to experience noticeable shifts in your physical stability, energy, and resilience. These improvements aren't hypothetical, they're documented. Let's begin with the legs, your body's literal foundation. Within several weeks of maintaining sufficient vitamin D intake, many older adults report that they're able to rise from chairs with less effort, walk longer distances, and feel more confident when navigating stairs or uneven ground. That's because vitamin D enhances the function of your fast-twitch muscle fibers, those responsible for quick reflexes and balance corrections. This is critical. When you stumble, it's not your slow endurance muscles that keep you from falling. It's the fast-twitch fibers that react instantly to steady your step. And those fibers decline sharply with age, unless they're actively supported. Balance, too, becomes more stable. The small adjustments your body makes with each movement, from walking across a room to turning while holding a bag, require continuous coordination between your muscles and your nervous system. Vitamin D supports that entire communication system. As levels normalize, the body becomes more responsive, less delayed in reaction, and better able to compensate for sudden shifts. Over time, bone density also improves. Bones, like muscles, respond to nutrient signals. With regular intake of vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, and protein, bones strengthen their internal scaffolding. This reduces the likelihood of fractures from low-impact falls, especially in the spine and hips, two of the most common injury sites in seniors. And fractures are not just painful. In older adults, a hip fracture can lead to prolonged immobility, hospital stays, and even permanent loss of independence. Vitamin D is not a one-time fix. It requires regular attention, whether through sunlight, fortified foods, supplements, or a combination of all three. It also requires awareness of supporting nutrients, particularly magnesium, as we've covered, as well as overall hydration and physical activity to keep the body's systems functioning harmoniously. This is where your role comes in. If you haven't done so yet, consider asking your doctor for a simple blood test to check your vitamin D levels. It's typically called a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test, and it can reveal whether your current levels are optimal or if you require a dietary or supplemental adjustment. Also, begin observing your own patterns. Are you moving less because of fear of falling? Do you feel muscle cramps at night? Have you noticed a decline in energy or mood? These could be signs that your body is operating with less vitamin D than it needs. You have the opportunity now to make a shift, one that doesn't require extreme changes or complicated routines. It starts with awareness and builds with simple actions, stepping into the sunlight for 20 minutes, choosing vitamin D-rich foods, and staying consistent with a safe, doctor-approved supplement. So let me ask, are you currently taking steps to maintain your vitamin D levels? What has improved or worsened over the past year in your physical strength, balance, or overall health? Share your answers in the comments. This helps others learn from your experience and helps us better understand what's working for you. And if you found this video valuable, take a moment to subscribe. Every week we offer grounded research-based strategies to support your strength, balance, and independence. Aging well is not about chasing youth, it's about protecting function. It's about walking steadily, getting up easily, and living fully on your own terms. Vitamin D may be a small molecule, but its impact is massive. Start giving your body what it needs, consistently, and you may be surprised by just how capable and confident you still are.